Here, what's poppin', y'all? Happy Saturday. Y'all know the vibes. This is our TGF Book Club. We do this every Saturday, moving and grooving, really to help people understand and grow your mindset. At the end of the day, your personal level of success will meet you at the level of your personal development. So it's really important that we stay intentional and we move with the understanding of all the answers you need are literally in books. And sometimes tackling books are a little more difficult by yourself. So that's why we do this every Saturday, discuss and collaborate on the chapters we read. As you guys know, we've been reading The Power of Awareness by Mr. Neville Goddard. And my guys out here going from chapter 6 through chapter 10. Y'all know the vibes. Talk about whatever best stood out to you guys. And then you can popcorn to anybody you see on the call in that process. If you haven't read all the chapters yet, all is good. Just tune in and then towards the end, just share about what stood out most from what everybody was talking about. So that being said, I'm super excited to hear everybody's information on what stood out to them. Amani, do you want to kick us off, girl? Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure. I'm so excited to be here, It's a beautiful Saturday. Okay, so let me go to my notes. So we did what, chapter 6 through 10 this time, right? Or
Yes, ma'am.
was
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So starting off with chapter 6, imagination, which is so powerful to be able to get back in touch with imagination. Because I don't know if y'all have the same experiences, but like as children, we have this really wide sense of imagination. And over time, because of, just so many outside factors, we just kind of lose that imagination just a little bit. Like I've always had an active imagination. People always used to tell me, get out of my head, get out of the clouds and come back here. But what I'm starting to understand is that that is where my true power was. And I was cut off from that without even understanding it. So listening to this is actually pretty cool because in chapter 7, when, okay, in my head, often, I guess I used to have somewhat of anger issues. Okay, very relatable. And I would be talking shit in my head like bad. I still do it every now and then, but now I'm starting to understand it's like that is, even though like I'm saying it in my head, it's still coming out into the world because that's my imagination. That's what I'm saying. So people can pick up on that, even if it's not, even if it's just subconscious and not conscious. So like with that example with that chick in the with her boss, she, had this attitude that she didn't even really understand until she switched her attitude, put her attention into something more positive, and that was the result. She got better results with her boss. And I love that because like, I can have that conversation. It's a mental conversation, it's argumentative. We have to really mind our thoughts because our thoughts and our imagination are very powerful and can, guide us on all these different paths. And chapter 8, the thing that stood out to me the most was renouncing evil versus resisting evil. That one hit so hard because, like, Elsa, okay? I know all y'all seen Frozen. Elsa is a prime example of renouncing versus resisting. What happens when she was resisting? She's out here going crazy, freezing everybody up, shooting her sister in the heart, whatever. She's going through it all because she's so fixated on not being evil. It's like dark thoughts happen, evil thoughts happen, things. We're not just good, evil. It's not like we're in the middle. We just are. I am. So letting it go was her way of renouncing it. Once she let it go, she was actually able to put her power into herself and create literally out of her own imagination a snow castle. Shout out to Disney. Um, they they really hit the point, and a lot of times they'll be like straight in our faces, and we don't really realize it until till it's too late. And like, even I forgot the guy who wrote the book. He says that discovering our own imagination is like discovering your own imagination is your own savior, and to let go of this religious aspect of it, because it's not all about like, yes, like if anything, this book is teaching me that it is really coming from within, not an outside source. And I believe in God just as much as a lot of people, but at the same time, it's like, this is my being, my imagination. I create everything around me. So I have to take away the religious aspect of it. It has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with the person, their thoughts, and what they put out there. So it's like a truth of the power for not relying on other people, not even, and this is, I don't know how this is going to come across, but not even relying on God, Jesus, your community. Obviously, those things are great. It's all reflections of each other and it helps us grow. But it really starts from within. So whatever we attract, whether it's good or bad, is going to come to us. So I'm gonna let y'all sit on that. And I'm going to call on, I'll call on
Me.
Amber. Oh, wait. I don't know who said that. Who's Don? Did Don say that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Don, since you want to go.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
What's popping, y'all? Can y'all see me? What's popping? Just got the shower. It's a good day. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I definitely was just catching up on the readings this morning, but from what I have understood and read, I came across a few different things I screenshotted for my notes. Go to them. Boop, boop, boop. Wow. All right, bet. So, in boom, in chapter 6, in the chapter of attention, just bringing attention to what it is that you focus on and where your attention goes, energy flows, and what it is that you deliberately focus on. You're given that you're searching for this feeling of your wish fulfilled, your attention goes there until you feel that you have that feeling, and that feeling crowds out all other ideas of your consciousness. And like Imani was saying, all this truly comes from within, but I do believe that it is God given, and we have the ability and the power of self through God. And in that chapter, or the attitude, just what kind of attitude do you have in whatever situations, circumstances, and it's all based on the expectations and the assumptions that you have, in which that creates the reality of the attitude that you have, and the attitude that you have not only determines what you see, but also what you do, and governs your conscious and subconscious, to what your attention is on, and then to go into, let me see, chapter 8 and 9. What kind of want to, I was definitely going to touch on the movie Frozen, like Imani, because it's something that Mikhail and I had a conversation over, and how I've never really looked at it that way until Mikhail broke it down and like explained it to me on how the perspective that he sees the movie in, because he watches it multiple times a day. But
Literally on right now.
in that we were talking about and how what Imani was talking about, and how she really applies the principles of this book, the power of awareness, and what it is that she focuses on, and what is it, the evil versus the good. And it was really just like eye-opening to see, like, and so when I was reading the chapter, it just reminded me of that conversation and of the movie. And then Imani talked about it. I was like, split. And then chapter 9, in preparing your place, everything depends upon your concept of yourself, in which you do not claim as true. That which you do not claim as true of yourself cannot be realized by you. That is a bar. So really just understanding like who it is that you are, so you know like what it is that you want, and what it is that you want is what your attention tends to focus on. And it's not about going and seeking for those things, because you come to understand and be aware that you already are that person. And it's like in the previous chapters, just understanding that you put yourself there first as if it's already done. And so just in that aspect, preparing yourself in your place. And then in chapter 10, boop, 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 I think creation. All right. As I was reading this, I was just like, that's wild, because you really create your environment and your reality through what it is that you focus on, and imagination that you have, and what it is that you believe yourself to be. And in that aspect, it is, you simply become aware of increasing portions of which already exist. So all that you ever have done or ever will be, in fact, all that mankind ever was or ever will be, exists already. So it's just becoming aware and creating that reality, and understanding and awareness of what already exists, and what's out there to gain knowledge upon, and understanding, and grow within, to become the person that you see yourself already being, and that which creates the reality that you have, or that you want. So powerful book. Crazy. Just want to touch on that. But here, what's up? I'm gonna go and pass it to Amber. There's my sending it over.
Hey y'all, can y'all hear me? Okay. I love this book so much. Oh my God. This it just hits everything on the nail on the head. So let's start with chapter 6, attention. So here's some of the notes that I wrote down. Attention is forceful in proportion of the narrowness of its focus. So basically, I mean, like really what I got from it was something that I highlighted was its power by confining it. So I highlighted the word confining it and then highlighted this paragraph right here. Therefore, when you know what you want, you must deliberately focus your attention on the feeling of your wish fulfilled until the feeling fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. So the power of your attention is the measure of your inner force. So whenever we focus on something with our attention and we don't allow anything else to come into our mind at all, it's inevitable that whatever we're focusing on will expand. And so that just reiterated that for me. It says concentrated observation is one thing shuts down of all other things and causes them to disappear. And so he had stated, this one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind, I press towards the mark. And so I really like that. So that I use the words disappear and forgetting. And so basically just not even acknowledging the things that you don't want at all, like not putting it into your consciousness, not taking it into consideration whatsoever, and allowing it to completely disappear and completely forget. And the reason why that stood out to me is because a lot of times whenever we think about things that we want, we allow our minds to at the same time think about things that we don't want. Like when we think about like making money, sometimes we'll think about how hard it is to make money, or all the, all the things that could possibly happen. And in other situations too. And sometimes like there's a conversation where people want to have about like sticking to reality and like making sure that what we're talking about is logical and this and that. And honestly, sometimes like that really sets us back. Like, yes, there are things out here that we have to consider, but the more that we focus on them, the more that we're making them real, So then this, to the unenlightened man, this will seem to be all fantasy. Yet all progress comes from those who do not take the accepted view nor accept the world as it is. So whenever we are experiencing a reality that we don't like, it's our responsibility to not accept it for what it is, and honestly, not even acknowledge it. And if we go to the next chapter 7, attitude, it says, prove that what you see when you look at something depends not so much on what it is, but on your assumption of how you look at it. So basically, like whenever you view something, you're not really viewing it for what it is, you're viewing it for what you assume about the thing. And so what that reminded me of is like this perspective that I got about Jesus and how the way that he healed people, like Jesus was extremely in alignment, like the most alignment that you can ever get, to where whenever he looked at someone, he did not see them for where they were. He did not see the reality that was going on. He didn't see the illness that was happening. He saw them in their most highest state ever. What was that? He was at that vibration. So whenever he looked at someone who was in sickness, that sickness could not survive anymore at all whenever he looked at it, because he looked at them in their highest, most healed state self ever. And so that's why whenever he came around, that healing just happened miraculously, because he viewed them in the light that they really were. So that low vibration could not exist. It could not exist around him because it wasn't in him whatsoever. So that is what I got from that. I really like the exercise that it gave in chapter 6 about attention, when it said to aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise. And it talked about like practicing the exercise of your mind, of your attention. And it says here, your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order for you to change your concept of yourself successfully and thereby change your future. So I highlighted that. It says your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated. And this just takes me back to really like the power of our mind, the power of our mindset. And like it takes me back to when I first started to learn how to meditate. It was really difficult for me at first because my mind was just all over the place. And once I started to realize that it was my responsibility to control my mind, because we all have different issues, like ADHD or like all this stuff, right? at the end of the day, yes, those are real things that we have to consider, but it is still our responsibility. Like, there are real, but we can't use them as an excuse, you know? So I had decided, like, okay, besides, yes, I could be dealing with all that, but it's my responsibility to control my mind. So I would like literally make myself sit down and like focus on one thing. And this might sound like really random, but whenever I first started meditating, I don't know why this is what I thought about, but like when I finally started to realize like what it is and how to focus my mind, I started to realize, like, I was like, Amber, you have to sit here and think about this one thing for at least 20 seconds. Like, don't think about anything else. And so I would think of something random and like make my mind focus on that thing. And so one of the first things I started to think about whenever I would do that exercise, this is like super random, I would think of like a penguin. I don't know why that like popped into my mind. And so I would sit there and I would like literally think about a penguin. And I would like literally like imagine it, the entire like face and structure all the way down, just to like practice my mind on focusing on something. And the more that I would do that over and over and over again, I think it was because, I don't know, I had just watched Happy Feet or something and that was in my mind. But this exercise reminded me of that. And so that's one way that, and I'll use that exercise honestly too, if I'm going through like a hard time, like if I'm really sad or frustrated or like dealing with something negative and I cannot focus my mind. Like if I know I'm somewhere and my mind is just going down this rabbit hole, I will literally stop and like stare at something and be all there. I'll give my full focus and attention on it to where I would like look at something and I'll start telling myself like in my mind the context of whatever it is. Like for example, like this cup. Like if I could not focus and I needed to, I would like look at this cup and in my mind I'd be like, this cup is gold and black and green, and like just say all of the colors to get my mind back focused, like right here, like make sure my attention is right here. So that's what that reminded me of. Let's see. Chapter 8, like Imani said, the difference between resisting and renouncing it. And to me, what really stood out was really like the power of changing your perspective versus just completely resisting it. So instead of just completely pushing it away and just being like, no, like I'm not going to deal with that, or that doesn't exist, but just changing your perspective around it was where your power is. And so at the end of that chapter, it talked about pruning your imagination of all of the things unwanted. And I mean, that just speaks for itself. Like, again, not focusing on the things that you don't want, but solely focusing on the things that you do want. And sometimes, you know, that's difficult for us to do when there are a lot of things that we don't want to experience, or we've experienced so much of what we don't want, but allowing yourself to prune your imagination and not focusing on, you know, what could happen, what has happened, but just solely thinking about the positive and what you want to happen in a very clear, concise way. And a lot of the times, like I will do an exercise where if there's a situation that I'm going to go into, for example, and I'll sit down and I'll imagine the situation completely, fully, all the way, and that it's already done. And I will imagine it all the way, like to the T, to the way that I want it to go. And then what will happen is whenever I like focus on it and I will like imagine the situation completely, fully. And then what will happen is I will go into that situation and it will play out exactly the way that I imagined it. You know, so I've done that exercise like multiple times and like seeing how it does work and seeing how if you just solely focus on what you want, it will manifest. I've also done it in different ways. And I think this goes into chapter 10, where it talks about the law of assumption. But basically, like if you are not conscious to it, it cannot exist. And there's been a lot of times where I've gone into situations like the story that they talked about, how he told her, he was like, if you are expecting him to criticize you or this and that, there's like, you're having that conversation inside of yourself. That means that you expect him to criticize you, like you're criticizing yourself on the inside. And there's been so many times, even recently, I mean, where I've like gone into situations and my insecurity, my projection on myself was clearly manifested into a situation where I would like walk in and what I thought about myself or what I thought about the situation was just manifesting right in front of me. And the thing is like when you continue to study this, you can't deny the truth anymore. You can't deny the fact that you can't deny your own power, right? So that means that you can't blame anybody else anymore, right? You can't walk into a room and something happened and you be like, oh, well, that was them. That was them. Like they did that, or it's like, no, dude, like everything is coming from your imagination, from you. You would not be experiencing it at all if it wasn't at some part of your consciousness, you know? And so it's about continuously asking yourself over and over and over again, where is this vibrating inside me? Where do I feel this way about myself? And it's just having that consistent conversation with yourself where you're asking yourself like, okay, I have to take responsibility for this. And sometimes some things like are really messed up. Like you're like, what, like, how could this be vibrating inside of me? But it's just continuously allowing yourself to see the truth of who you are, to see your insecurities and allowing those layers to come down and look at it. I was talking to Imani last night where I had to be real with just myself when it came to like my business. I realized like I haven't been allowing myself to receive. And I was just breaking it down to her last night where I was talking about the limiting beliefs that I had out loud. And the reason why I was doing that is because I was shedding light on them. I was like, if I shed light on them and I continue to make myself conscious to these limiting beliefs, the darkness will go away. Like these limiting beliefs will go away because I'm going to make myself extremely conscious to them. I'm going to shed light to them. I'm going to renounce them and say no. And that's what we talked about last night. So that's what I resonated with that. Preparing your place. One of the last things it says is telling the event before it occurs physically is simply feeling yourself into the state desired until it has the tone of reality. You go and prepare your place by yourself by imagining yourself in the feeling of your desire. So telling an event before it occurs physically is simply feeling yourself into the state. So just by saying like, I do make $10,000 a month right now, and it feels so good. It feels so great. And like allowing yourself to have that conversation with yourself every single day and just talking about it before, like preparing your place for it. Like one of the things that my mentor, an example that she gave for that, and I always practice it now. She was like, if you want something, get rid of it. Like, for example, like if you want a new couch or if you want new furniture and you're like trying to save up money for whatever, she's like, just get rid of all the furniture that you have, because then you're going to have to get it. You know what I mean? So like literally preparing your place for what you want. If you want new furniture, you have to get rid of the old so the new could come in. And so there's a lot of times where like, I want something new, but I either don't have the money for it, this and that, and I'll completely get rid of the other thing. Like I did this with this table. Like I wanted a new table, but I didn't have the money for it. So I just threw away the old one. And I was like, I'm going to have to get a new one because I don't have one. And I didn't have the money for it when I threw away the old one, but I knew this law. So I was like, I'm just going to throw it away and just be inconvenienced, but it will be replaced with something. And that is all I got for all of that. So really like this chapter, dug into it a lot. It was dope. Okay. Let's see, who's next? Who do I want to call on? I'm gonna call on Mateo. Is Mateo still there?
Thank you, Amber. Appreciate you. I personally, this is my first book club meeting, so I'm not sure what book we're talking about. But all these concepts and lessons about manifestation and visualization and just turning your dreams into reality. I'm familiar with. There's a podcast that I recently came across called "Your Wish Is Your Command." Has anybody ever heard of that podcast? Your Wish Is Your Command. Yeah, that's really probably one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. It's along the same lines as books like The Secret or there's another book called the Think and Grow Rich, like similar books like that. Outwitting the Devil. I've read all these books, but the podcast is interesting because it's from a different perspective, I think. And that's one of the biggest things I think when you're trying to manifest something new in your life is you have to become a different person and you have to start thinking differently in order to get something different in your life. You can't keep doing the same things over and over and expecting to get a different result. Like doing what I do for work, there's people that, they can go to sales trainings, they can take notes, everything else. But if you don't actually implement that change and start doing different things, you're not going to ever be able to get different things in your life. And at the end of the day, your thoughts create your reality. And you can tell what your mindset is. You can tell what your thoughts are by the way you behave. Like, you can't be delusional with your mindset, because a lot of people, they talk to themselves one way, but they act a different way. And you have to catch yourself. You have to be really honest with yourself. You have to be really transparent and have a good level of self-reflection to be able to recognize when you're not aligned with your thoughts and your actions. And when you really align your thoughts with your actions and you put your thoughts in the right place, because most of the time people know exactly what they need to do and what thoughts are inhibiting them, stopping them from manifesting the things they want in their life. And then when you fix your thoughts and you fix your habits, most importantly, then you can really start to like see that actually happen in your life. And it's crazy when you stay consistent with it, because it happens a lot faster than what people can really give themselves credit for. The last thing I'll say is, like, most of the time when in the past, when I've like set a goal and I haven't reached it as fast as what I want, it's mainly because I told myself it's so much farther away than what it really is. Like, a lot of the goals you guys have, they're probably a lot closer than you think. If you just do these things that you know you need to do and you start thinking differently, it doesn't take 6 months to see a huge change. Like, you can stay consistent for 2 months, like literally every day, do the things you need to do and talk to yourself the way you need to talk to yourself. Like, if you literally just make the decision, success is a decision away, literally. If you just make that decision to change, like permanently change, because you're never going to go back to how you were before, right? Like, we're not here to regress. So if you really just decide to change and you improve your mindset and your actions and your habits, and you keep it permanent, like, you literally leave your old self behind in the past. Like, that's a thing that, like, it doesn't even exist anymore, literally. So if you just decide to do that, you can see huge results change in your life in, literally just a few months. And it might not happen in a few months, it might not happen in a few weeks, but you need to stay consistent and be okay with not seeing any results at first, because these things take time. So as long as you stay consistent and you have faith in yourself and you have faith in God to actually put the change in your life that you're asking for. And when you ask for it, the other thing too, when Jesus said pray, he didn't mean just pray and ask, like, hoping that you'll get it. Pray and then thank him for the fact that he already gave it to you. Like, you need to already, like, expect these things to come into your life. It's like Christmas Eve night and you're waiting for these presents that are going to literally be there when you wake up. Like, it's happening. That's really all I got. I mean, I wish I could talk more about the book you guys are talking about. What book are we reading?
The Power of Awareness by Neville Goodard.
Okay. I'm gonna get this book. The Power of Awareness.
Bro, the book's actually in the app, bro. I'll hop on FaceTime with you. I'll show you where to get it.
Yeah,
I got you.
Now, thank you. I know you guys got the book plug. That's fire. But I appreciate you guys. I'm definitely gonna have to get on this book, but honestly, this is one of my favorite topics. I'm so glad that Mikkel, he invited me to the meeting, right? We were literally texting right before. He was like, hop on the Zoom real quick. I was like, bet. This is one of the greatest topics to talk about and learn about and just develop in, because it's something not enough people, I think, really take the time to acknowledge and be conscious about. But it's literally how everything in your life happens. So if you just be intentional with your personal development, then you can literally do anything you put your mind to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I just want to say something on terms of, boy, I love you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I miss you, man. I ain't seen your face in a little second. So, one, I appreciate you hopping on and giving value. And to whole squad, don't be afraid to invite somebody on the book club call, even if they're brand new and this is going to be their first call. Like, truth be told, as he just said, this is one of the most powerful topics that can be talked about, especially in the entrepreneurship space. So if you are actively inviting your people, they can come on here and catch game that you can't just catch running around and down the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to have these conversations with normal people in the day to day. So ultimately, that's why we created this space. Don't forget that, because I feel like we got a lot of squad that just shows up. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually invite your mother, your brother, your cousin, your sister, your friend, whoever's texting you before the book club call starts, like, whomever the heck it is, like, actually shoot them out an invite and invite to this thing. This isn't like a business practice. We're not trying to sell anybody on our book club, bro. This is like, hey, do you actually care about the people that are around you, and do you want them to be better? If so, invite them into a space, give them the resources, give them the tools in order to get better. So appreciate you, Mateo, for hopping on at the random, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, you should hop on. It's going to be a fire one today. And you just hopped on
Right.
Zoom. So,
Yeah, I love you, bro. Appreciate it.
definitely,
Right,
always. Since my ass is talking, I'm gonna just take this next part. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to close today. I'm gonna let Marcus close today, or one of y'all. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, these 5 chapters were golden. I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all did an amazing job breaking down Frozen, as you can probably hear in the background. You know what I'm saying? It's on in my house just about 3 times a day, every day. So I felt that when Imani was talking about it. But the other thing, as I dove into chapter 6, it was funny because this has been like y'all know me and my business partner, we talk every day, my boy Marcus, multiple times a day. This is what we've been on like all week long, is really like focusing in our attention and being very, very, very meticulous about like what's really going on and where we're focused on, because we know in order to get to the next level, it's going to take an intense focus. And if I'm gonna be real, I don't know if I just missed it or what, but I ain't hear too many people talk about chapter 6. So I just wanted to break that down. Where your attention flows, energy also flows. And what you expand on, you literally make bigger. So the one person I did hear talk about it in the very beginning was shout out Imani. I think everybody broke bits and pieces down, but like when it comes down to it, it says in here, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Donnie hit on that. Okay, I definitely missed some of what Donnie was talking about, because Mikey was super crying while T was in the bathroom. But attention is forceful in proportion to the narrowness of its focus. That is, when it's obsessed with a single idea or sensation, it is steadied and powerfully focused only by such an adjustment of the mind as permits you to see one thing only. Long story short, as you focus in and become more obsessed with your goal, all the other distractions seem to just kind of fade away. But if you are focused on doing this, and then it's this, and then it's this, and then it's this, all of the things become unstable. And here in TGF, I know that we have quite a few different departments, and it can become very confusing. It's crazy when somebody on the team texts me what's good, like they don't know that we're on this call every single Saturday at the same time. But with that though, it's like we've definitely been focused everywhere. So I don't know if like squad even kind of peeps if you've actually been in the app over the last 24 hours. We're just really starting to confine what we're focused on. You know what I'm saying? Really where the direction is, as we all begin to take separate runs in our life as well. But I really implore everybody to like go back and reread chapter 6 today and decide where you want to put your attention, because everybody has a lane. You got to figure out which lane you want to be in. You know what I'm saying? Like truly. And as you figure out which lane, like you can run down the lane. But majority of us get into inaction and instability because we are focused on too many things at once. Period. Pick one thing, focus, execute, get it done, move on to the next thing. Focus, execute, get it done, move on to the next thing. Focus, execute, get it done, move on to the next thing. So just really like tune in that attention. It was fire, honestly, as he was really going through this. I was like, yo, it's been my whole life this week. I've just been trying to declutter because we have so much going on. So I've been really focusing on getting clarity on exactly what we're doing here at TGF. That's been a huge thing for me. And then I took some screenshots while I was reading. Hold on. Boop, boop, boop. Also, we talked about perception in here, and he talked about a lot in here, but one thing where he was talking about, like, there was, I don't remember exactly which page it's on because when I screenshotted it, I just don't have page numbers anymore. I just scroll. But Romans 14:14. So it says, because after that, after the quote, it says, because there's nothing unclean of itself or clean of itself, you should assume the best and think only of that which is lovely and of good report. And it's real life. I watched a video last night done by a famous actor. He was doing a TED talk, and he had these people read, that is so embarrassing. And he goes, read that. That's what it says. Now listen to this 4 times and tell me if you heard the same thing. And there's this chant that happens. It's a whole bunch of voices, but it goes, that is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. And then he goes, all right, listen to it and tell me what it says now. And as they're listening to it, it's saying different sayings on the screen. And every single time that a saying on the screen switched, so did what you heard. And then he ended it and he's like, listen, it's not so much that we live in a real world that we're seeing. It's that what we see creates our real world. And he broke that down perfectly in the book. Like, truth be told, yes, it all comes from in here, but also it comes down to like what's really in here and what are you paying attention to? Because what you pay attention to, you get more of. That's why I said when Imani was talking, what you focus on expands. If you're focused on the negative, you're going to get the negative. If you're focused on how that person's been treating you and this, that, and the third, and whatever transpired before the conversation, you're going to walk into the conversation with a predetermined attitude. I've definitely been guilty of this in a few conversations that I've had. So definitely an eye-opening chapter for me. And then also the last thing that he was talking about, and this was honestly huge for me, and it was inside of, it's kind of like between chapter 9 and chapter 10 as well. But he talked about imagination, then he talked about creation. And I just want to touch on these two things. But in the imagination portion, he said, in my father's house, there are many mansions. If it were not so, if it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And now I have told you before it came to pass, that when it is come to pass, ye might believe. And that's John 14, verse 2, 3, and also 29. But in that process, what he talks about right after is he says the I in this equation, or the quotation, is your imagination, which goes into the future, into one of the many mansions. Mansions is the state desired. And I felt that, at first I was like, hold on, he's definitely talking about God in the Bible. But then I thought about it like, yo, all right, cool. I get where people say like, yo, God is in each and every one of us. But then and also like he broke down the difference between I and my father's house. Like he didn't say in my house there are many mansions, and if it were not so, I would have told you. I would go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself. He said, in my father's house. So there's a small difference between the creator and creation and creativity. And that's what he broke down in that creation passage. And I was like, yo, those were bars, because over and over and over and over and over again, I've been trying to find like this whole like, there's been this saying like people just kind of don't really understand who God is these days. And this book really put it perfectly, like to be able to fuse everybody's really like introspective look into what's really going on, because there is a separation. And when he talked about creation, like we cannot create. Creation was done. Creativity is really just expanding on the things that already are. This is a talk me and Marcus had a few weeks ago. And when you really understand that, you understand like, yo, what is to be and what is already is. Therefore, I can make it happen if I just literally focus on it. And I've got to like trash and literally dissolve all of those crazy bad thoughts. And as we go forward, as I become more aware of who I am, what my flaws are, and what things I actually must do in order to continuously have good experiences, abundant experiences, and not unstable and negative experiences, and like the train of thought that I must actually travel down, like it's dope, y'all. And this book for me has definitely been eye-opening, to say the least. A lot of these things I naturally do, but also when you become aware, it hits way different. Like when you know what you knew, but like you actually know, it hits way different. It's kind of like how when your imagination sees it ahead of time and then it brings you right back, and then you've arrived here. And that's like what we do. That's like what we do when it comes to personal development, honestly. And truth be told, I'm just grateful for this space, because what we've created is a space to come in where we are and use our imagination to figure out where we're going, and then brings ourselves back right after we get off the call. And we're like, damn, that was fire. That was one of them ones. And as we hop off, we literally go use that imagination that we built right here on Saturday morning and it propels us all throughout the next 7 days until we're back again. So I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna pass it on. Who else hasn't gone? I feel like Josh hasn't gone, Rigo hasn't gone, Austin hasn't gone, Michelle hasn't gone, Marcus hasn't gone. Right? Those are my people. Bet. Michelle, if you want to take it away, girl. What's poppin', sis?
Y'all have basically touched on everything. Amber, I really resonated with what you said about the couch, because I think sometimes we overcomplicate a lot of this and use big and fancy words when it's really like, if you want something, then literally concentrate on it, wish upon it, pray on it, manifest it, and then naturally all the other crazy thoughts are going to come out of your head and they'll disappear. So that's really like the power of intention with chapter 6. Sorry, y'all, I'm like in the middle of a bunch of things, but chapter 7, attitude. The only thing I wrote down was assuming obviously that you're already there mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever the case may be. If you really become aware, right, beyond like the 6 senses, then that's when you really reach crazy levels. So like Mikkel was saying, replacing your thoughts, you know, what you focus on expands, all that good stuff. We hear this over and over again, because I will assure you that that's not the first time they've said any of that. Like, we've literally been doing this for almost 2 years now. And it's crazy because then we start reading books like this and we're like, oh shoot, where there's actual scripture to back it up. And it's why personal development is so essential, because you literally can read something, hear it every single call, and it just takes that one call where it sits a little bit differently. So my camera's not on because I just got out of the shower, but I've been listening to what y'all have been saying, and going into chapter 8, what is it? What did I write? Everything y'all have already said. Focus your attention on your desired outcomes. But, you know, he said something that really like stuck out to me, where he says, give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, and praise for heaviness. And that was very like perfect timing for death. We automatically think negative thoughts. But what if someone said death, and instead of going to a place of awe or sorrow, it was more of like, bet, right? Because we're believers, and that means that's celebration, right? That could be perceived as celebration to the kingdom, the end goal, the whole point of everything. Everybody on this call is selling something. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. That's how you got into all of this, right? Period. But if you don't work on the inner you and understanding the big picture, there will not be results, because you're in it for the wrong thing. And this is where growth comes in. And y'all, like, God doesn't expect us to learn this right away. That's why you fall, you get back up. You fall 7 times, you get back 8 times. Get back up 8 more times. You know, and manifestation and prayer is essential. Amber does manifestation calls every single week. You don't catch the live, catch the recording. I know I do. So imagine yourself exactly where you want to be. Imagine yourself exactly in that flesh already, and it's already done. It already happened. The first time I heard Marcus say that to me, where he said it was already done, or I said I can't, he said you can, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Literally, how you talk to yourself is how things start to happen, you know? And anyways, and that goes into chapter 10, creation. Your assumptions, what you assume, shape your experiences. Assuming you have a wonderful business, and assume you already have a wonderful business. You already made whatever your goal is. It doesn't have to be 10K, it could be literally $500. And boom, incidents and circumstances literally related to that assumption will start to happen when you don't even focus on it, you know? So being creative is becoming aware of what already exists. That's why we are all different on this call, and we are all creative in our own ways. But the foundation and the principles are key. Anyways, I can go on and on, but I just wanted to bring it back to the Bible because obviously there's principles in there about diligence and financial success. And if you are not following along and really, how can I put this? Moving with that kind of mentality, that's okay. That's okay. But maybe get with somebody on this call that, and if you are interested in moving in that direction, and maybe get it with someone on this call that can perhaps help you move into that direction, if that is what you want in this season of your life. And I promise you that the way you move and who you hang around with and how you speak will literally blossom. It's crazy. And yeah, you know, I've been doing MRR for like a couple months now, having a hella conversations. So what happens there? A lot of energy, a lot of different personalities, but the big picture is how, okay, I'm having this conversation with this person. Did they walk away with something new? Was there a gem? Was there a seed dropped? And if there wasn't, then guess what? I was not successful on that call. And so really that's all I took away from it. I'm really excited. I did read the first 6 chapters. This one is different. I feel like the boys brought it up a few months ago, but the fact that like we're here now is pretty dope. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. I don't know who hasn't gone, but love y'all.
That one sentence, what was it? That like the incidents will occur according to your assumptions. That is so real. Like it's really moment by moment. Like an incident will happen, which will lead you to the next one, which will lead you to the next one, which will manifest everything that you assume. Not everything that you want, everything that you assume. If you assume that everything sucks, that's what you're gonna get. See who hasn't gone yet. Kelsey. Ready? Austin. You ready? Marcus, I know you're ready.
Hey, you gotta stay ready so you gotta get ready. You know what I'm saying? What's poppin', fam? Yo, I've been teasing this whole time over here, supporting my niece. She is currently not in. She's taking a little break. But so if she happens to go in, y'all, I'm gonna end up like stepping out real quick and I'll recap and I would have passed this something and recap what I don't finish. But everyone's hit on a lot. And obviously, I think the biggest thing that I wanted to touch on is I am beyond grateful and I give all glory to God. Like, y'all, to be able to communicate and chop it up with some sharp, valuable individuals about the faculties that were given to us by Him. Like, yeah, I'm blessed and completely just aware of how rare this is. So I appreciate y'all being a part of it because it's uniquely here because of each and every one of you guys. So, one, just wanted to give y'all some love. Two, in terms of faculty, so I've always heard, especially by my mentors, that imagination is the highest faculty that was given to us by God Himself. And these last 5 chapters, they literally put my understanding in a whole different level of perspective. It's honestly crazy. So in terms of chapter 6, which is attention, I really liked what Amber talked about because I wanted to talk about it as well, is that your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order to change your concept of yourself successfully and thereby change your future. Again, as Mateo was talking about, like you've actually got to become somebody completely different to embody and encompass a life that you want most that you're currently not at. So in order to accept that truth, you've got to be aware that you're not there. And then you focus your actual attention to where you want to go most. So yeah, hashtag, y'all go read that again. I know it's a long hashtag, but it's definitely worth the time. Chapter 7, I wanted to touch on what no one's touched on yet. Or if I missed it, lo siento. Anyways, what I'm saying is, I think the biggest part that honestly changes a lot of the game when you fully understand it is how he described where you mentally have conversations with yourself before you have conversations in the outward. So majority of the time, he talks about she began to realize that all of us carry our mental conversations. Unfortunately, on the most occasions, these conversations are argumentative. Your attitude literally shapes your reality. That's why I choose to have an attitude of gratitude, regardless of what circumstances I'm in, because it'll always yield godly fruits. I can see where God is blessing. I can see where the intentional relationships were not put on each other's paths by accident. I literally can be understanding that like we're exactly where we're supposed to be at the right time, at the right place, doing things for the right reason, because we wouldn't be on the same path if that wasn't true. All I know is you attract who you are, and I know who I am. I've spent a lot of time diving into that and growing that. And all I'm saying is, if I choose to spend my time and energy with you, it's because you resemble a lot of the same things. So going back to belief, going back to actually imagining where you truly want to be, you've got to develop that and become aware of where your level is currently so that you can improve. And like he talked about in Romans 14:4, there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. So if something's amazing, it's going to be amazing to you. If something is horrible to you, you're going to view it as horrible. You make your own reality. So in terms of like harvesting good or bad, nothing's good or bad. It just is. You add meaning to it. And as you were going into these conversations in your head, and I know that the more aware I got, the sooner I became more efficient at recognizing when I was having argumentative thoughts in my head, when I was assuming something that wasn't even said yet. Y'all got to realize that if you take yourself out of the unawareness and you step into that perspective of being just aware of those thoughts, I love you, bye, then you're able to actually perceive what the truth is in front of you, not what you want it to be or what you think it should be. It's literally black and white, and it's pointed straight at your face, because those who seek find. It's literally so biblical, everything that he talked about throughout everything. I think the most impactful chapter for me, though, was chapter 8 in terms of renunciation. Especially because obviously resisting evil and renouncing it. But hold on, I'm gonna say real quick.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Oh shit, yeah, my bad. Bye, Mom. Hold on, y'all.
In Austin. It's
Bye,
like
Mom.
50 minutes. I love you. We're gonna go watch first act.
Okay. Y'all give her a kiss for me.
I will.
I love you. All right. Sorry, y'all, family. You know what I'm saying? Gotta love it. Okay, so I think it hit me different, bro. And I'm just gonna read this because I know a lot of y'all might have not read it. So it says, give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, and that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Bro, I've always just wanted to bring glory to God, and to see that in order for that to be happen, you've got to check your heart posture. Like, are you able to have and see things as you would like them to be rather than as things that they are? Do you have a joyous attitude regardless of the unfavorable circumstances? Are you able to maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency? Sorry, my pronunciation is whack. But you are a planting of the Lord when all of your thoughts are true thoughts. So it's just recognizing what thoughts aren't. When you're aware of what you want, you also become aware of what you do not want. And you're able to and then identify it, where you can take your attention away from it when you renounce the evil versus giving your attention to it. You're able to give it to what you want most. And shout out Mr. McHale. I'm grateful to have you as a business partner, brother, because in that process, you've helped me really stay more intentional in that aspect, especially in one of the most trying chapters of my entire life. And it was very relative to what we experienced really putting on event in Minnesota with the curveballs that came in the timing and the manner that they came. We really had to assume the position, go and speak into the rooms, and talk with the individuals to allow that event to be a successful event, something that honestly raised the standard for things that had happened up there in Minnesota, as well as raise the standards for our capabilities and what we can do. And we're like, okay, bro, if we can do this with the limited things that we had and the obstacles and the curveballs that came with it, like, bro, you can literally do whatever you put your mind to. You just got to understand that it really takes a hard posture and understanding where your focus grows. I think I bulleted something really big on this one. Towards the end, said, "You think truly, in your thoughts shall, or thy thoughts shall the world's famine feed. Speak truly, and each word of thine shall be fruitful seed. Live truly, and thy life shall be a great and noble creed." So seek truth, man, and you're able to fully step in that place. Chapter 9, preparing your place, bro, was crazy. Which you do not claim as true of yourself cannot be realized by you. Essentially, what I've realized in my life is that you have to go and prepare a place for yourself by imagining yourself into the feeling of your wish fulfilled. So you've literally got to work and put yourself there and be in a space where 95% plus of people never actually put themselves into a place of, and they seek more, but they view as is, and nothing can change. Those who create the change view the change as is, and then they step into those actual progressive actions and habits that you form throughout your journey, throughout your experiences. I've really seen a difference in my life. And I was just doing something to do it because people told me to. Because I understood that I am this person and I am a skilled individual within these certain aspects to the craft that I'm working. It honestly makes all the difference when you understand that your assumption places you psychologically where you are not physically. It is their psychological forward motions that produce your physical forward motions in time. And that really plays heart in heart with what chapter 10 talks about, because all of creation is already is. And I think the biggest bar on that was literally, bro, in the first sentence when he says you have to actually coexist in an infinite and eternal now. Everything that is and will be is here. The only creator is him himself. You cannot create or destroy. You can only transform and transfer and receive. And in that process, if you understand that to be truth, because biblically it is proven to be so, and you accept that because your faith is strong in what God says, not what you say, then you are able to understand that the life that you truly want and the person you really want to be is already here. You just have to step in it. You got to recognize it as if, and it will. Anyways, this thing got me feeling hyped up and excited on a Saturday afternoon. And I appreciate y'all bringing energy and honestly feeding into everything that we're doing as a collective. I love you guys. And with that, I'm going to just popcorn that, man. Josh, you got the floor, big dog. Or Kelsey, Josh, Rigo, Austin, whoever. Or if not, we can close this thing out.
I know what happened to everybody. Okay. Somebody.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you, bro.
Yeah, awesome. So I literally just read the first chapter all the way to chapter 10 this week. So please bear with me because I did not write down any notes and I need to focus on my reading. I know that's what we're talking about right now. But good afternoon, y'all. What I really do remember of reading out of these chapters is a lot of it reminds me of The Strangest Secret of Earl Nightingale. It's so good. You really are what you think about. I've had this awareness of pretty much finding out how insecure I am really. I didn't really realize how insecure I was until maybe a month ago. And it's really helping me out and break down of who I am as a person and really just going out there and really being myself, with whatever judgment I could possibly think of, right? But a lot of it does fall back into you, right? But the majority of it is my focus. I really need to know how to focus and really get things down, pretty much like this book, right? Whenever I'm reading this book, it's like, yo, what did you just read? So a lot of it from what Marco says all the time is a lot of us can multitask, but not multi-focus, right? Honestly, I don't even think I can multitask. It's like I only focus on one thing at a time because I'll be doing something, someone's trying to have a conversation with me, and I'll look at them like, what did you just say? I cannot multitask, right? But literally, this book is helping me out, helping me finding that out about myself and really break down things once it comes down to focus on any subject or task that I need to do. I really love what Amber and Michelle was saying about really focusing on what you gotta. Ooh, sorry, I'm out here with Marco Rivera supporting his niece. So I'm out here watching the soccer game as well. Anyways, pretty much just bringing it down to your personal level, right? Whatever you do, think about what are you telling yourself every day, right? And yeah, that's something that's really, really gonna be some work on, with myself personally, because I didn't realize I was so judgmental to myself, right? But it is really helping me out to even just express it, even with my parents, and really knowing that who I am as a person. Confidence, all the other stuff. So I apologize, y'all. I'm all scatterbrained because I didn't read chapters 1 through 10, and I really am not task oriented. But that's honestly, I just love how all of y'all really shared y'all stories with the book, and I was really taking a listen to y'all. And this book club really does get me into a certain motion, into moving forward, like on a daily basis. It really is your perspective. And I'm just super grateful. All right. Again, I apologize that, I'm just scatterbrained, but just kind of freestyling it. But I promise y'all, next book club, I'm going to get that thing down. So I just want to share a few words just to let you know that I am listening. I love y'all. So whoever is next, y'all can go ahead and get on that thing. Josh. Josh, get on, bro. If you want or not.
What poppin', everybody? How y'all doing this Saturday morning, afternoon? Loving the energy, loving the levels of excitement, blessed as well. This book, man, it's really, really like hitting home because I've always been aware of like what I'm doing, but I'm not like as deep as I am now. Just seeing like where I've came from to where I am now and being aware of my surroundings and like just in general, like what I'm saying and how I'm speaking life on me and into other people. I'm just staying positive. Speaking positivity is like the really big thing for me, because what you speak is like what can actually come into fruition and come true. So just always speaking positivity into my life and continuing to do that. But with these chapters, saying assumption, that was loud. Have an assumption of being like you're already living the life that you want. You're already in the cars, you're already in the houses and the environment, just assuming that you're already there, and then all of a sudden you're actually going to be there in reality. So just basically living that life, as we talked about last book club. Imagination is a God-given thing, and your vision is a God-given thing. So that's why every vision is differently, but actually see yourself there, feel it, smell it, the car, the house, do anything like that, just manifest it, and eventually everything will become true, because you're going to notice it and it's going to feel real, and then you're actually going to be taking the steps towards those goals without even knowing. It's just going to happen, like out of conscious, like your brain doesn't know what's real or not. So as you continue to stick to the things that you're wanting to do and that you talk about, as you talk about them, you're going to focus more on it. I seen a reel where it was Tony Robbins and Theo Vaughn, and he was saying like, really what you focus on, you'll see more of. And he was talking about in the room, like point at a color or think of a color, and then I think he was like, think of the color red and let me know everything you see that's red. And he let him know. But before that, he didn't notice anything that was red because he wasn't focused on it. So like Marcus and Mikhail always say, what you focus on expands and energy flows towards that thing. As you think about the life that you want to live, those things will start to surround you. Like I've been talking about like getting a Corvette soon. Like that's one of my main goals, is to have my own car and sports car, because I've always been a car guy. Shout out to my pops, just because of him. Like he got me into all that, and ever since then I've been really talking about it and thinking about it and manifesting it. Like I see them every day. It's really wild. Like I literally see one every day, or however many, and being surrounded is more powerful because that it's actually going to happen in God's time. Sure. So just power of assumption, and then also I get the assumption thing is like, don't judge a book by its cover. With people, you can assume how they are. You got to meet them and see exactly what they're about and how they are. I feel like with us and TGF, people assume that it's a scam, and they're really missing out on a blessing and a life-changing experiment. Because I never would have thought about being in a group like this and then growing, actually doing the things that I've talked about. If I would have assumed that it was a pyramid scheme or a scam or whatever, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Like I wouldn't have my own brand. I wouldn't have people building my faith with. I wouldn't be going to Austin every now and then to see people that I'm actually wanting to grow with, or taking a trip to AZ for, the event. So it's really dope. And I've also learned that, like, don't assume how people are. It's always best to just meet them and see who they actually are, because you never know somebody until you know somebody. But that's just what I got from it. Listening to it is good, but I want to actually get the hard copy and read it so it can actually be instilled into my mind. So yeah. Who has not gone? I think that's everybody, huh? Austin, have you gone, buddy? You. Quiet. Well, Marcus, I guess
Alright,
you
well,
can close this out,
I
my
think
boy.
he's getting dinner. The birthday boy, you know what I'm saying? It's all good, bro. Hey, if you want, also, you can always throw in your
Birthday boy.
thoughts in the book club chat on the app. You can coordinate. But I appreciate everybody hopping on. We got chapters 11 through 15 next week. I'm super excited to hear the inside of it. And shout out y'all for making my Saturday morning a vibe. One, first and foremost, but also just valuable. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm listening to a podcast, and people are literally just growing together, and it's dope. So, high key, we've talked about making the book club kind of like a live podcast on that, so it's gonna be lit. Anyways, we love you guys. As always, you know the vibes. We'll see you at the 10. Goodbye, the way too crowded. Much love. Have a good one.
Bye, y'all. Happy Saturday.